So, this one's gonna be about too soon, old, too late, smart. Yes. Well done. I know it's super well that I just know the names of the books that I'm going through. But yeah, I do just actually also know, because we're gonna skip the whole process of intro and stuff like that. We're just gonna get straight into it. We're just gonna get straight into the amazing thing, because I have also the last time highlighted this section where I've stopped, which is amazing because now I know where I've stopped. Yeah. Right. And this is what we're gonna go through today. So, also the fear that we might try and not succeed can produce a crippling inertia. Keeping our expectations low protects us from disappointment. Well. Indeed. And this is actually the exact same thing that I've been talking about today as well, to another person. I've been like, well, just don't have expectations, and if you don't have just really high fucking expectations, then you're never ever gonna be fucked. There's never ever gonna be just some reason why, I don't know, why you're unhappy, because you don't expect anything to happen anyway. So yeah, what's wrong? Anyway, also, I've read that. Before we can do anything, we must be able to imagine it. This sounds easy, but I find that many people do not make the link between behavior and feelings. I blame modern medicine and the advertising industry for much of this problem. We have become used to the idea that much of what we don't like about ourselves and our lives can be quickly overcome with little effort on our part. And by the way, I've actually started yesterday to read this book because I was so amazed by it, and I also like the structure. Like, I like when it is not like one really extremely long story, but when it is actually chapters. This chapter is about this, and this chapter is about something different, because I don't know, it is way easier to digest, at least for me, at least how I'm working and how I see things basically as well, and yeah, essentially. Anyway. It is hard to let go of a comforting illusion, but harder still to construct a happy life out of perceptions and beliefs that do not correspond to the world around us. So things that are not reality, I guess, and I think it makes sense. Most families I talk to see their aging relatives as a burden. The idea that the elderly have anything to give the young in a way of wisdom and life experience is seldom considered. The reason most old people are preoccupied with self-centered complaints, which I'm actually not quite sure of. I think it might be some sort of a common thing to see that, okay, it's an old person, and like, yeah, they always complain, and they always just this and that and these and those, but it is actually not really the case. Yeah, I don't know. I believe that parenthood, a voluntary commitment, does not incur a reciprocal obligation in the young, either to conform their lives to our parental preferences or to listen endlessly to our protest about the ravages of time. In fact, I'm of the opinion that the old have a duty to suffer the losses of age with as much grace and determination as they can muster, and to avoid inflicting their discomfort on those who love them. It is not so much what occurs, but how we define events and respond that determines how we feel. Which essentially is also something that I've been talking about yesterday, in terms also of Stoicism, because it's just part of it. Like how you react to things, how you deal with things, how you, I don't know, how you're doing things, essentially. I know it's just very Stoic philosophy stuff. Yeah. When I listen to comments from elderly people who have been married 50, 60 or more years, answering the inevitable question about the secret to a successful marriage, it seems to me that a high tolerance for boredom often heads the list. And by the way, I just, in general, I like his style. Also in the book, it is very comedic from time to time. And this is pretty amazing because it is a serious book. The topic is serious, but just presenting it in such a funny way, in a not always serious way, is of course a contrast, but it is, I think, a pretty good and healthy contrast for the book and also for the readers. In fact, apart from a last second touchdown, unexpected inheritance, winning the lottery, or a visitation from God, it is hard to imagine sudden good news. Virtually, all the happiness-producing processes in our lives take time, usually a long time. Learning new things, changing old behaviors, building satisfying relationships, and raising children, all those things, they are pretty, yes indeed, they can make us happy. And I do want to point out, and I do want to argue, maybe it is not about the things, and maybe it's just about the process. Because I often see, and this is something that I've consciously been thinking about during my exam week that I've been having yesterday, or just the week before, that afterwards there's not going to be anything that I have to do. And this is not good for me, and I'm seeing it, especially today, but I've also seen it yesterday. I get bored. If there's not really something that I think is very important for me to do, besides the podcast and everything, but the thing is, I can't record podcasts all day long. I can't do that. I would just get crazy and stuff, And of course, I'm also working out, so I'm actually doing quite a bunch of things. On one hand. On the other hand, it is still like, well, there is quite some time left where I could just be doing something, but I don't know, like, I'm not always doing something. So yeah, I don't know, like, having something to do and having a process of something that makes sense for you and to you and is amazing for you and to you, and also just being around people. This is the most, and actually one of the most important things for me, being around people, just spending 1, 2, 3 hours with somebody just doing something, whatever it might be. Like I don't know, it is such an important thing. The process of building has always been slower and more complicated than that of destruction. Of all the things that define us, education appears to be the most highly correlated with success. It is little wonder that that we are urged throughout childhood to do well in school and take our successive graduations as necessary steps towards a comfortable life. There is a promise implicit in this process. Follow instructions, please others, and obey the rules, and happiness will be yours. I hate obeying the rules, so it's not going to work out for me that well, Often this, and by the way, just in general, like, no, not necessarily. I do believe that school can be something important. Not for everyone, of course, but it can really be something important. It can really be something that makes sense. Not for everyone, just some people, they just don't like school. Some people are just really fucking smart and I don't know, it's not difficult enough for them. And so it is like, yeah, why? Why then? Why should I just be here then? And stuff like that. Like, there's just multiple things. Anyway. Often it is the dalliances and the detours that define us. There are no maps to guide our most important searches. We must rely on hope, chance, intuition, and a willingness to be surprised. So it is with our choice of people to be with. Nearly every human action is in some way an expression of how we think about ourselves. There are few behaviors that are self-esteem neutral. Yes, indeed. Really fucking indeed. And just as I'm thinking about it, like, after my breakup, I've just been starting dressing better because I felt a little bit insecure. I thought, well, I can dress better, so why shouldn't I? And so I'm not gonna just head to the next store and buy myself some Gucci shit or some whatever. This is not who I am, and this is also not what I want to spend my fucking money on, especially just clothes in general. Like, I like to look good, but I'm also just trying to get clothes through, I don't know, going shopping or just getting things for Christmas or some stuff like that. I like that because I also don't like shopping and just searching for things and stuff. But yeah, definitely the case. Really. The thing now is like, is it always the case? I don't know. I don't have answers applicable to every relationship. I believe in what works. What you're doing now isn't working. Why not try something else? Which is an amazing question. The truth may not make us free, but to lie to ourselves in the name of temporary comfort is the ultimate folly. Yes, don't fucking do that. We do those things repetitively that produce some reward. It is just hard sometimes to discern what that reinforcement might be. The rise of effective somatic treatments, antibiotics, surgery, drugs to control conditions like diabetes, hypertension, all manner of hormone deficits, has contributed to the sense that healing is something that happens to us rather than something in which we are an active participant. Yes, indeed. We're just gonna heal, we're just gonna take this drug and everything is gonna be fine. But no, motherfucker, you have to do something. One of the things that define us is what we worry about. Life is full of uncertainty and of random catastrophe. It is easy, therefore, to justify almost any anxiety. The list of fears that people carry with them is long and varied, and a function of the information with which we are bombarded. There is a lot of fears out there. I'm also having a lot of fucking fears, I'm not gonna lie, and especially in the last just in the last time, I haven't been feeling that well because of things going on, because of stuff that I've done, because of whatever, and there is fears and there is stuff that that's, I don't want to say concern me in general, but I'm in general very grateful for the fact that I am very optimistic. Yeah, which is always something pretty important. Even in good times, the public perception of the risk of becoming a crime victim is exaggerated. We arm ourselves against mythical intruders and ignore the reality that family members are the most likely victims of the guns we buy. Meanwhile, the real risk to our welfare, smoking, overeating, not fastening seatbelts, social injustice, and the people we elect to office provoke little anxiety. Funny thing. How can anyone be happy in such a world? A good case of healthy denial helps, but the real secret is selective attention. If we choose to focus our awareness and energy on those things and people that bring us pleasure and satisfaction, we have a very good chance of being happy in a world full of unhappiness. Yes, focusing on the good stuff, focusing on the stuff that makes us happy, and not focusing on the stuff that went wrong, that is gonna went wrong, that of course, this is easily said. And of course, this is something, it's basically a reminder for myself. I've been, in the past time, also been really thinking about things that haven't gone so well, that haven't worked out so well, that I'm not really happy with, and all those things. Of course, it is something that I do, that you do, that we all do. But in the end, there's a lot of beautiful things, and I don't know, as I said, and shout out to a buddy that I've met today, which was one of the most important things probably that I've done today, in terms of my happiness, in terms of me feeling good. But he also said that being more open and talking about things is something pretty important. And I guess this is something that you can only be doing with friends and people. Unless, you have a podcast, then of course you can also just talk into your microphone and talk about that stuff. But it is definitely not as satisfying as it is with just doing something else. And I don't know. It is strange. Our yearning for the past is fueled by a selective memory of our younger selves. To know someone fully and love them in spite of even because of their imperfections, an act that requires us to reorganize and forgive, two very important indicators of emotional maturity. More important is the fact that if we can do this for other people, we may be able to do this for ourselves as well, which is a huge thing, and which is also something that was written down in the Siddhartha, I guess, if I'm not quite wrong there. So yeah, our constant challenge is not to seek perfection in ourselves and others, but to find ways to be happy in an imperfect world. The young frequently look at the old with a combination of obligation, disdain, and fear. They ask themselves, is this what I have to look forward to? Will I become a collection of physical complaints and recurrent reminiscence of an earlier, better time? And whatnot. Or we can concede a poor agnosticism and surrender ourselves to the known as we try to imagine some meaning in the ceaseless rhythms of existence, life and death, dream and despair, and the heartbreaking mystery of unanswered prayers. All humor is in some way directed at the human condition. To laugh at ourselves is to acknowledge the ultimate futility of our efforts to save off the depredations of time. Things may be grave, but they need not be serious. What is grave? Vault, crypt, catacomb, last home, last resting place. Okay, no, it's serious. Okay. Isn't this the same thing? Significant. The This approach manifests the cardinal rule of anxiety. Avoidance makes it worse. Confrontation gradually improves it. In the case of depression, the behavior that needs changing generally involves overcoming inertia and fatigue enough to do things that predictably make us feel better. Mental health is a function of choice. The more choices we are able to exercise, the happier we are likely to be. The primary variable in this regard is tolerance of risk. If we take counsel of our fears, particularly our fear of change, it is hard to choose a life that makes us happy. Is it anxiety or lack of imagination that restricts us? Most of all, by placing responsibility outside ourselves, we miss out on the healing knowledge that what happens to us is not nearly as important as the attitude we adopt in response. As a way of inducing reflection, I frequently ask people to write down their epitaphs. I would choose for my own. I tell them I like the words of Raymond Carver. And did you get what you wanted from this life? Even so, I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth. And this is it. And I might also be having a summary, or I also maybe make a summary of the book, because I think it's amazing. I think it's really cool and really interesting. And therefore I also want to maybe present it in some other way. But it is an amazing book, and I think it is, as I said, easily digestible and therefore just even more amazing. But yeah, I'm going to end the episode there. So I wish you the best health, of happiness, and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself, or you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and then being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty cool thing. The question of today is, what could you do, what could you say, what could you make to really make somebody's day? So yeah, do that, motherfucker. 3 other questions that I'm having for you are, why are you here? What are you trying to change, and what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a fucking important thing. Especially meaning. The business idea is like just a cherry on top of the thing, of the ice cream cone. What not? No. Anyway, I wish you the best, and I hope that you're having a really fucking good day and that you're fucking happy. This is just one of the things that I wish you the most. Happiness. Because if you're happy, everything is fine. If you're happy, everything is just okay and just whatnot. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to see you the next time. Maybe consider even subscribing. I would at least appreciate that. But if I can just give you some things that change something in your life, then this is actually everything that I want to have. There's nothing more that I want to have. Anyway, I wish you the best. Thank you very much.